everybody, and welcome back to another episode. And in today's episode, we are going to be looking at an empire video. Specifically, we are going to be doing what if Colombia forms an empire. So we have Colombia here, and they're looking to reform something along the lines of Grand Colombia. And they're going to be trying that. So today, we see them making their empire. And first, the easiest country to be. They're not going to go to France. Probably not Venezuela or Panama because of U.S. support. Or, really, Peru. So that really only leaves one person, and I think you know where I'm going here. As they declare war on Ecuador. So, they're going to go ahead and send their troops in. This will be a pretty easy fight for them. They go like this. I do not know where their capital is. I used to know. I've just forgotten. I assume it's around here somewhere. We're just gonna say that. And it'll get captured. Let's redo this. And yeah, the whole country gets captured. And in the peace treaty, we see full annexation of the Ecuador country, or just Ecuador. And now that that's over with, we can get to our next war. And they're feeling pretty strong now. They have the Galapagos as well. Now anyway. Now that they feel stronger, they're going to try their luck. And they're going to go to Panama. And they go to the U.S. And they say, we'll give you the Panama Canal if you let us have Panama. And they're like, fine. So, we see Colombia declaring war on Panama. Panama does not know about the peace treaty that they just signed, so they expect aid from the U.S. But instead, they actually see troops helping Colombia aid the attack of their own country, which is kind of sad. But they march in. They meet up with we're not gonna count the Darien Gap. Let's say they send troops into here. They capture all their important area up to the Panama Canal. And they surrender. They don't want to fight that. There's nobody to fight if it's in the Darien Gap. So, fully annexed it is. But do know, the Panama Canal, let's just make it right there, and that'll be owned by the USA. So, you know that. Remember that. It's probably not going to be important later. At all. But it's there, you know. And now that they've already taken out a lot of countries, they're just going to go after, this time, Costa Rica and Nicaragua. So they go after them, and they declare war. And they take out all of Costa Rica, and they make their way into Nicaragua, and they take it all out, and they annex both of them, because they just feel like it. Or not all of Nicaragua. I don't know if I said that right. I'll hope I did. They take the southern half. They give Honduras the northern half. And they make like a sort of Belize country. It's shaped like Belize anyway. They take all that. They give the rest over to Honduras. And Honduras now likes them. They're on the good side. So they'll join them as an ally. Oh, and the rest of that will become a puppet state. So now they have their own Nicaraguan puppet state. And an ally in Honduras. And they get an ally in Guatemala. The only reason they do this is because they promised them a piece of El Salvador. So, you can see the next thing they do, as they declare war on El Salvador. This video is going kind of fast already. So, we're going to slow that down a little bit. Boom, it's all taken. Peace treaty, I would say, probably go something like that, where, we can zoom in a little bit. We can see all this area going over, the little area that there is, going over to Honduras, and the rest of it will be annexed by Guatemala. And so they're slowly building up their army and their allies, which will be very important later. Now that they have pretty much all of Central America, they're going to set their sights on someone easier, which is Jamaica. So they declare war on Jamaica, and it really isn't a fight. We'll just boom, bing, bada, bang. Now it's all theirs. A little wider. There we go. So now they own Jamaica as well, which they're happy about and all. Now they want to go after someone bigger. They've already gained a lot of land, but now they've decided to declare war on Peru. This is going to be kind of hard, as their capital is way down south, like right here, I think, in Lima. Lima? Is that right? That's close enough. So, what they do is they're going to go ahead and send out their troops in the coast and sit down there. And they go ahead and they're going to make a jump across this. And they're going to go this way, as well as tens of troops in like this. It's not very important to them at the moment, as they go ahead and take all this land after a big, large encirclement. And they start marching down. This is the last straw for a lot of people. So, an alliance will be formed. This is the Purple Alliance with Brazil. It also has Bolivia, Paraguay, Suriname. So that is the alliance. We're not going to count France. They're going to go ahead and allow military access to this alliance because they don't want Colombia to expand. So we're going to color it in a lighter shade. And just show that, I guess. That should work. Let's get back onto this. First of all, now that Peru is, they're going to be gaining some help from this alliance, which will actually help them a lot, as they're able to retake some land up here. And now they're gonna go to someone new. They're gonna go to Chile, and they're gonna say, "We'll offer you some more ocean coast from Peru if you help us in this war and become our ally." They say yes. They have no reason to say no, besides not wanting them to expand, which is a very valid argument. But whatever. They go ahead and join. All that, I guess. There's a lot of this area that needs to be fixed. Ugh. All this little white particles. No matter. We can go ahead and see. They start off taking this land right here. And they're marching in. Peru sends a lot of their forces down south now, which will kick them back a lot. It was just them. So back down to there. But this does lead to Colombia getting a lot of this thing back. And they're working to another encirclement. But this time it'll be a little bit bigger. As they do reach it, as slowly but surely, they will take it down and eventually get rid of it. Peru is not going to give up so easily, though, as they get some land back. And eventually, it's getting too much for them. They get invaded once again down here by Chile, and they almost get to Lima, and they decide that this war is not worth fighting. So they go ahead and sign a peace deal, where we can see that now. And here is our simple, easy peace treaty. Colombia is going to get the northern area. They don't want a lot of land from Peru, they just want a little bit. And they go ahead and take all of this, and they go ahead and take this little area. Chile goes ahead and takes that area. Peru is now shaped like a lima bean. Yeah, I'll just go with that. They're now called the Lima Republic instead of Peru. And the Lima Republic was also forced to become an ally of Colombia, which, you know, it might not be too bad. So now this is what it's looking like. And after this war is complete, they see Uruguay joining, and they also see Mexico for some reason, as well as Belize. Let those two join. Now, they're going to go after their rival, Venezuela. They're just gonna... Nope, not gonna do that. Oh my gosh, I cannot. Do this for the life of me. And it goes like this. After I take over this area, I'm pretty sure it's not a lake. They call it a lake though, I'm pretty sure it's a bay, but they take that all over and go up the seacoast. And some people have decided that enough is enough, and they're going to declare war. It's Guyana. It's nobody really that important. Even though they're not really that good of friends with Venezuela, they're going to go ahead and go to their aid. This doesn't do anything. Colombia's getting too powerful now. Then somebody else joins the war. Dominican Republic. No, I'm just kidding. It will be this time the purple team. The purple team is going to join the war to help their allies, or not really their ally, but to see the end of this expansion. So we're going to see the first front line up here. Mexico is able to march in with the help of Belize, which really isn't doing anything. They capture pretty much all of Guatemala, and they march into Honduras now. Thinking about all that. Meanwhile, down south, they're going to slowly start marching in. The Chile, there's mountains here, so they really can't. They march into Peru, even avoiding this part of the mountains for some reason. Mostly because there's a lot more troops in this area. And they go ahead and they make a pretty good offensive on Peru. And then they start their offensive on Colombia. And this is a very big offensive. And eventually, they help Venezuela push back Colombia. Colombia is not going down without a fight, as they're going to keep marching this way. And they're going to head toward the capital, wherever it is. I'm going to check a globe. Okay, it's Concas, something like that. I'm pretty sure they take it. They march into a little bit more of these important areas. After this, they fall. Then we start seeing some troops moving into here. They're probably not going to be able to make it there that fast, but they do. We see about this much happening. And they also get behind some lines over here, which doesn't fall back like that. Meanwhile, up here, Honduras has fallen, and now they reach a pretty sturdy line made by the Colombians. And there was a small attempt to liberate them in the south. It's not going too well, though. Meanwhile, down here, these guys are still slowly advancing through Chile. They've taken all this little northern part, and then moving down south towards Santiago, around here, which they're on cue to reach that very soon. Meanwhile, Peru is getting cooked. They will fight back in the north, however, and they begin an encirclement, which really goes nowhere. But the Colombians are slowly pushing back in this area. Up north, they're not doing the best, however, as Brazil is now fully pushing them back, and they're back into Venezuela now. So this really isn't Venezuela. This is like them going into Venezuela. Same thing with Honduras. Then a massive movement from Jamaica is made into the Yucatan Peninsula, and they capture Belize. Capture Belize, take all this area, as well as liberating Guatemala, and pretty much fully liberating Honduras. Mexico is like, oh no. They leave the war, as well as Belize. What they do, Mexico stabs Belize in the back and says, here, take Belize. So, Belize is taken. And, yeah. So, they get all this land back. Now, with their two allies, their puppet state, and the help of Belize, as well as all those troops, they make another pushback once again. This time, taking all of, the important areas of Guyana, in which they just fall. Suriname, they're gone. France is like, I had nothing to do with this, and military access is gone. Meanwhile, troops are flooding in now into Brazil. Colombia knows they won't be able to win. Colombia knows they won't, in the long run, they won't be able to win against Brazil. But Brazil is slowly starting to run out of troops. Until down here, these guys have finally kicked out Chile. They're no more. Goodbye, adios. Then Argentina will join the war. And then Colombia's like, let's peace out. And they're like, agreed. So then we can see the final peace treaty of what if Colombia formed an empire. And I'm going to split this peace treaty into two parts, just to make it more interesting. Here's the first part. Starting off, Chile, on the bottom half of it, the unimportant part, the most unimportant part, I would say, is given over to Argentina. So now they have it all. There's no disputes over the bottom half. That looks kind of cursed. That looks better, maybe. That'll have to do. Chile, is not a member of the alliance anymore. They want to leave. Makes sense. Peru is going to keep their Lima Republic identity. Bolivia will gain some land. Brazil getting some land over here and a little extra piece right there. Okay, and then I'm just get rid of that. So they gain this little piece of land. Lima, or the Lima Republic, they'll leave the alliance, but they'll have all this land. Now you'll notice that every border they had, land has been taken from them. This is just sad to see now. I'm very sad. All the land here is given back over to Colombia for now. Then we see Colombia gaining all this little piece of land right here. Now we're on to part 2 of the peace treaty, which is the northern half. It's basically the second part of it. In return for Brazil not taking any land over here, Colombia makes an offer for them to gain the southern lands of Suriname and Guyana, and they accept in return all this land over here, Venezuela, is given over to them. Then all 3 of these are made into a new republic. This is the Republic of Northern South America. It also includes Trinidad and Tobago. They joined. So all these are here. That we can get rid of. And here we go. This is basically the empire. This is basically the Colombian Empire. I have one last thing for them to do, which is for them to annex this little area over here. Then they get Honduras and Guatemala to join up with them and form a greater Central American Union. So all of Central America is united under them. Then we see them declaring war on Cuba, Haiti, Puerto Rico. They're not going to go after Puerto Rico. What they will do is make a peace offering with the United States, and that will be. They declare they are going to give them the Bahamas as well. So they get the Panama Canal, the Bahamas, and they make a deal to give them this part of North Cuba. Meanwhile, the rest, after the war will be over, all this, that happens. So Hispaniola is united under Colombia for some reason. And then the U.S. becomes an ally, it would more likely be, Colombia becomes an ally of the U.S. And that will do it for today's episode. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in the next one. If you are watching until now, that means that you've seen all of what Colombia formed an empire, which is a big feat on its own, as many people don't watch the Empire series. But it also means you're going to get a piece of lore for what a civilization started over. You might have seen some strange things happen in this episode, like Colombia gaining access to the Galapagos, and this part of Cuba being taken. The borders look like this now. And now, you will see why. Get ready for episode 45 of What If Civilization Started Over. You won't want to miss it.